And joining us in the studio this morning, the new superintendent of the Homer Center Schools, Mr. Curt Whitesel, and Homer Center High School Principal Jody Rainey. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Todd.
It's good to have you here in the studio with us today. Jody, of course, we see you quite often, but it's our first time to meet you, Curtis. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. So you're riding the ship here, huh?
Yes, excited to be here. Looking forward to what all has to come with it, and excited.
When you came to apply for the Homer Center School District Superintendent's position, did you have much knowledge of what the district was all about?
Just through Jody, I've had some conversations. A quick, interesting story is the school that I was the principal at actually played a state baseball game in the second round of the states, and it was here in Homer City baseball fields. And that was my first experience with the town, and lo and behold, a month later, the position came open, and I applied for it, went through the process, and luckily landed the job, so it's exciting.
And here it is. Here it is. Of course, it takes a lot of years of preparation educationally just to get yourself in this position, but experientially as well, working as an administrator in other school districts, and you work your way up through the ranks to get yourself to this position. It's not an easy thing, is it?
No, it's not. A lot of schooling. People don't realize the amount of schooling that goes in from, getting a master's degree to a principal's certificate to superintendent's letter of eligibility, continuing ed the whole way through till you get to the end road, which is superintendency.
Yeah, so you find yourself in the position now, and you've been on the job for how long?
Since November 18th.
November 18th. So you've been able to settle in.
Yes, yes. I'm getting more familiar, learning people, putting faces with names and things like that.
Yeah, and you try your best to avoid Jody Rainey, correct?
Yes, he stays up on the top of the hill, I stay down below.
But the Homer Center,
on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Notice that. I'm on the top.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to roll downward that way, Jody. Jody, of course, the principal for many years with the Homer Center School District, and Jody, you have worked with a number of different people in a number of different capacities. Give me your impressions of meeting Mr. Whitesel and beginning your work with him.
I actually had an opportunity. I've known Curt. We both served on the District 6 committee, and that was kind of my knowledge of him before he came here. And it's always impressed me, I've told him this, is he's very even-keeled. He's not afraid to address the hard questions, and he's very much somebody that will roll up his sleeves and work with others. I really think that the strength that he'll bring our district is I think he'll do a great job of being accessible to people, being a conduit to work through issues and problems. And also he has some great ideas on how to take our district to another level. We do believe at Homer Center we have a lot of great things, and I think that we just have greater things to come through his leadership. So real excited. He's a very easy person to talk to. He'll give it to you straight, which I do enjoy. I like that. That's how I operate. And I just think that we can do great things together at Homer Center under his leadership.
Dr. Corin, of course, left the district in pretty good stand, didn't he?
Absolutely, great guy. Big shoes to fill. If I can at least fill one of his shoes, I'll be pretty happy. He was a great mentor to me coming in for the month before I started the job. He stayed in contact with me, kept me up to date, shared emails with me, shared some insight, took me around. Actually, I come up and spent a day, and he took me around. He did a really, really good job preparing me to take over.
Well, that was what I wanted to ask you about, was that transition time, because you're coming into a district that is in the middle of a school year. They've already started their school year when you come into the position. You've got a predecessor who is still there and able to help you. And get yourself started. Talk about that period of, as we said with our commissioners when they were here in our last half hour, you can't start slowly. I mean, you're starting at full speed, and you had to do that.
Well, I left my former district on a Friday as a building principal, showed up to Homer Center on Monday morning as the superintendent. So that was a real eye-opener. But I think kind of a blessing that I started November, that the school year had already begun and people were into their routine, and I was able to blend in a little bit and get to know people and not start July 1 before school even started without any knowledge of what was going on. By starting in November has given me the opportunity to witness what's already happening in the classroom, the good things that are happening with academics, activities, and athletics, and giving me a chance to meet people that's already in place. So I think it was a blessing starting in November. It really was.
Yeah. When we think about a school district, there are issues. As I said to the commissioners, it's interesting. They came in right before you, and it's a new board of commissioners. Here you are in a new position. There are things that publicly we know about, but behind the scenes, there's, it's the old tip of the iceberg thing. Behind the scenes, there's much more going on, and you have to be up to speed on all of it. Vision-wise, where do you see the district going in the next year to 3 to 5 years?
Well, what really attracted me to the district is the loyalty that people from the Homer Center School District have to that school district, and just continue to build upon that. I get, from what I understand, once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat, and it just seems like the outpouring of support that community provides that school district is second to none. I've been affiliated with 3 or 4 other school districts in my career, and I'm not sure I've ever seen the loyalty that a community has to support their school, and that's exciting. So to build on that, to continue to see us prosper academically, to see us continue to prosper in activities and athletics, and just actually what I said to the board in my interview is, I would like to see Homer Center become the standard, that this is the school in Indiana County that I want my kids to go to, and that's what we're going to strive for. I don't think striving for anything less would do anybody any good.
Saw some of that spirit last night, huh?
Yeah.
That was fun at the school last night, and the same school united back tonight, so they'll renew. That's one of those rivalry things that you talk about. You mentioned the board. The board has, of course, supervisory power over you. They're the ones who hired you.
Correct.
And so you work very intimately with them about the issues, preparation of the budget, the various issues that come with educating students. It really comes down to educating the students.
Right.
It gets right down to it, doesn't it?
Yes. If you sat down in a planning meeting, a buildings and grounds meeting, an executive session with this board of directors, you'd be amazed at how supportive they are of students and student success. They don't bring outside individual ideas. They are there as a group, a collective group, to do what's best for every student and every employee of the Homer Center School District. And I applaud their way of doing things. It's really good.
Yeah. Jody Rainey, when we think about a school principal working with the administration, with the school board as well, that connection has to be pretty solid, doesn't it? If you're at cross purposes with your superintendent or with members of the board or anybody else within the school building, that's a breakdown that has to be repaired before you ever get on to moving forward.
Well, I think it's goal setting. One of the things that we recently have talked about with Curt coming on as our superintendent is setting some goals that we feel that are achievable and manageable that we can work on immediately. We already have some goals established. But I think that's what it comes down to, is Curt hit it right on the head. I mean, I've been in Homer Center now, this is my 12th year, and one of the things that, I always say this is, it is different. And you can't, we hire new teachers, I tell them all the time, it is different. You can't explain it, you have to experience it. And the commitment that between the school board, the administrative team, our teachers, and our community have for student success is unmatched anywhere I've been, as well, as Curt said, to build on that. And I think that, the purpose of, I think our purpose sometimes in school, maybe it isn't the academic need. Kids need, other needs. There's other things that we have to look and fill that gap. But I think that we're small enough and we're also flexible enough and creative enough that we try to fill the needs of every individual student. And as long, I think collectively, we all work towards that goal. We might not agree on how we need to get there, but at the end of the day, our differences can all be resolved because we share a common goal, and that is for the ultimate success of every individual student that we have.
Of course, from your standpoint, you're preparing students to head out to further higher education or into their work lives, their careers, and so you have a certain perspective on what you want to see high school students. Curt, when you think about elementary students, you're preparing them as well, but it's for furthering their relationships with one another, for working together, learning how to be good citizens, getting that basis for your education to move forward into the up on the hill, if you will.
Right. It's a cliche, but you build a house from the ground up. And that's the way you have to approach education. You start with them in their primary grades, K-2, K-3, and you get them the skill set that they need to be successful through intermediate, elementary. Continue to foster learning, foster relationships, getting them ready to transition into the junior high school The junior high school then continues to build upon maturing and what that entails, and then into the high school to prepare for what's to come for the rest of their life. So it's a process that starts early. We focus on the early grades, and we build them K to 12.
One of the other interesting aspects of your job is moving into a county such as Indiana County, which there are other counties like this in terms of the way they're structured. But with other superintendents and so many other districts within Indiana County, you get a chance to meet all of them and to work with them as well, because it's not just Homer Center and it's not just Indiana County, it's an entire region.
Yes, I actually knew Mike Vukovich from Indiana prior to getting the job up here. He and I had also sat on a District 6 committee together for a couple of years. So I knew Mike, and then just through meetings with the IU and meetings at the Career and Tech Center, I've got to meet the other local superintendents who have been unbelievably supportive. They've reached out to me via email. They've welcomed me, offered me any help I would need, just to call on them. I know they'd be there. So it's been rewarding. Great people up here, really good people.
Well, terrific. I'm glad you're finding it that way. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both for coming in today. Welcome you, Curt, to Indiana County and to the Homer Center School District. We'll see you tonight probably at the game if you happen to be there. But we're moving forward, and you have to, because if you're not, then you're going backwards.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
So, there's no such thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or you're going backwards because everybody's passing you up. And that has to be the philosophy as a school district, just as it is in everyday life. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. Jody, you want to give a little tease there for the Heritage Conference Road to the KCAC? We got a second.
We do. Championship game is February the 7th. Tickets are available at the box office at the KCAC or online at the IUP Tix site. So we have a lot. Art, academics, it all is there. Come on out and support the kids of the Heritage Conference and see some great basketball at the same time.
There you go. That'll be happening. And in fact, we're going to have you and some others back right on the week of the road to the KCAC to get you all set up. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS AM 1160 and 101.1 FM and 101.1 FM and